Hello guys, welcome back. This is David. I do hope you're doing well. Now we have another AI reading, but this time focusing on should central banks be using the tools as well? And the answer of course is yes. Going to really help the central banks in their management of the economy, especially in analyzing all the data, making faster, quicker decisions. So the tools that you, I, other companies, we're kind of all in an AI arms race, kind of rushing to use the technology to profit from it. Many companies, they call it here the gold rush, like an AI gold rush. The economic potentials mentioned in this reading too. They talk about the new vast reservoirs of data available to you and I, are also available to the central banks now as well. And they bring in the idea of nowcasting rather than forecasting, nowcasting, trying to understand what's happening right now, which is very tricky looking at the whole economy. So the massive computing power helping central banks to utilize the tools themselves. So they summarize at the very start, what's the impact on central banks? Is there going to use these tools? Well, yes. In fact, there's an urgent need for them to raise their game. Let's check it out. Now, the authors come up with a few in the financial sector, four here, key areas where efficiencies are going to be particularly noticeable, thinking about payments, credit assessments, insurance, and asset management. But we are often thinking in this reading about the overall economy. So, of course, it's much wider than this. Central banks, thinking about all the sectors within the economy. But we do get a little slide here about the financial sector. And they're making the point here that decisions as far as lending goes, decisions as far as from an investment perspective or insurance, they're quite cognitively demanding. And these are exactly the kind of tasks that are quite data intensive that the AI can really help us with. They can cope with this. So the chance for reducing costs, automating, creating more efficiencies, they're going to be there. We have talked a lot about the risks. They're going to mention one or two that we've seen before along the way as well. So in all these areas, they're giving us a few examples of improvements. Now, an area that FRM has part two has kind of had in the curriculum for some time, it dots in and out, is the idea of correspondent banking. Now, always think about the news. Let's go to our foreign correspondent in Malaysia or foreign correspondent somewhere else in the world. Here's where you do business in another country, often through either a subsidiary bank or an agent selling your products. Now, if you are selling through an agent or selling at a big distance globally like this, it's quite risky as far as meeting the anti-money laundering and financial terrorism requirements because you're responsible. And having cross-border activities and cross-border brings in the potential for money laundering, of course. And with the faster technology, faster transactions, better due diligence as well, will perhaps bring this area back in, whereas in the past it's kind of not been as expanded as it could have been. Yeah, you can detect fraud, much lower cost operations with this technology. Know your customer, mentioning there for the anti-money laundering. Those requirements are responsible on the home bank, if you like. Now, using technology for making credit decisions has been around a long time, but the difference here is expanding the data to include unstructured data. Now, normally data would be quite traditional in terms of salaries, of course, income, commitments, loan to values, of course, credit profiles. But when you start to use unstructured data, you get a bigger picture, a better picture of the true credit worthiness. And it might be they come up with quite a nice expression here, an invisible prime customer. If you're a prime customer, of course, you're much lower risk than a subprime. But the idea of an invisible prime